Welcome to this little talk on donkeys on Zoom. Now, I'm making this 2 or 3 weeks ahead of when you're going to view it, and I already know that this is not compensation for being able to be here, to see the amazing donkeys, to have a donkey cuddle, to scratch some ears of those amazing creatures you've been missing, to catch up with the incredible staff that you've got to know over the years, to catch up with friends you may not have seen for a while, just to soak up everything that is amazing about the Donkey Sanctuary. And I'm sorry that we are in this situation, but as an optimist, I'm interested in actually how there's been an opportunity in some of this. Now, I don't know how your family has fared during these difficult times. I hope that everything is well with you and your family and you've come through it and are better and stronger for it. I know that the challenges we've faced working with Behaviour have actually provided us with an opportunity to do better than we've ever done before, to reach more donkeys and mules, to provide something for the future that I think will be phenomenal. And that's what I want to share with you. My name's Ben Hart. I've been working at the Donkey Sanctuary. This is my 20th year, actually. And the first 18 years, pretty hands-on. It's running around the Donkey Sanctuary, delivering training, helping donkeys. It's going around the UK, driving all over the place, flying around the world to give courses, to try and make a difference. Now, the thing that I knew was no matter how fast I ran, how fast I drove, how fast I flew, I couldn't get round quick enough. We might deliver a training in Italy and not be able to get back for a couple of years. Just the sheer difficulty, the number of times people said we need to clone you. We couldn't reach all of the people all of the time fast enough to make a real difference. Now, just going to run a course in Ireland with our colleagues there, for instance, it's a logistical challenge. You have to figure out, okay, flights, what times, airport parking, car hire. We have to find a venue, accommodation, get everybody able to attend in the right place at the right time. I've got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, drive to the airport, catch a flight, find a car, drive for another couple of hours to get to the venue, and then be there teaching all day. Maybe I'd then drive home and get back in the evening at midnight, or maybe there'd be another day's teaching before repeating the whole process in reverse. And all of that time either side of the training was kind of a bit lost. Driving, traveling, it's not the best use of our time. It's expensive for the Donkey Sanctuary, to the cost of physically having to pay for all of those things, and also the environmental cost. Now, we had played a little bit with some online learning. I'd made about 6 years ago a video. I had some training that we needed to do for our donkey welfare advisors, but I couldn't attend the training days that they were doing. I was needed to do some training somewhere else. So I made an online video, much like this. And okay, it was an early attempt, perhaps wasn't as professional, but it was a video and it was good. It contained all the information and we shared it with the DWAs. Quite frankly, it wasn't considered a great success. Online learning, well, you weren't here, we couldn't ask you questions in the room. They didn't like it. It was so alien. Did it have the right information? Yes, but it's not something we were comfortable with and familiar with. We had started doing some stuff on Zoom. Before Zoom became popular, I'd already started to use Zoom for some meetings. I mean, back then, everybody had their camera off, have a webcam, be seen on the computer. Oh my word, it was, talking to black screens. But we were trying a few things, but it wasn't really catching because it was alien. Behaviour has to be hands-on. You have to be there. Teaching has to be in a classroom. Then came March 2020, lockdown. I'm sitting at home thinking, okay, how do we now reach out and continue to help donkeys and mules around the world with their behavioural problems? Previously, behavioural issues were dealt with either by a very long email, maybe a phone call, or I would visit the home. It was kind of expected. So Behaviour's hand-on. I would leave home early in the morning, drive anything from 1 to 5 hours, do a 2 or 3 hour visit, and then turn around and drive home again. You could spend a 15-20 hour day just doing one visit, but it's what we did. It's what was required. If you weren't there with Behaviour doing it, how could anybody possibly learn? So one of the challenges was how do we get over that mindset that behaviour has to be a hands-on process? Well, luckily, using the science of behaviour, one of the things that we know is that we have to get to the cause of the behaviour first. The behaviour might be caused by pain. It might be caused by environmental stress because there's not enough friends or the incorrect diet or enough freedom to move. And we have to explore that. Now, I could drive all that way and turn up and then discover that the problem maybe was pain or maybe was environmental, and those need to be fixed before I can help the donkey. And even if I can help the donkey, doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to help the owner. Might give them more confidence, they might have an understanding of what to do, but it's still a long ongoing process that needs support. So we then get to a situation where that's been taken away. It feels alien for people. The good thing was that people suddenly became familiar with technology. We'd already been using it, but now everybody started to use Zoom or Teams or one of the other apps that became available. A few years ago, to think that you would be able to have a virtual donkey week would have been not acceptable. To think that you might be able to talk to your family, see your grandchildren on a video from your own home, to talk to a relative in Australia through an app on your phone would have been unthought of. It was there, but nobody was really doing it. All of a sudden, everybody's doing it. And we're starting to get used to it. And there's the things about, you're still on mute, you haven't turned the sound on, where's the camera? But, you know, all of that learning, people telling me that they're worried about technology and they're not good with technology. Within weeks, they're like, yeah, I can do that. I'll meet you in a Zoom meeting, no problem. And we begin to be forced to change and use technology because what we want to do as behaviourists is make sure those changes that need to be made, that are the causes of behaviour, often pain or environmental, are made before we make a visit, before we begin to look at behaviour training. So sometimes a donkey's better off visiting a vet than it is a behaviourist, because if they're in pain and that's why they're kicking, that vet needs to be able to diagnose and work with that pain issue before we can help the owner and the donkey. So the technology gives us an opportunity to begin to build a platform rather than just people wanting a fix. Fix it now. Ben, can you come and fix my donkey? Maybe, but that's not necessarily the right thing. We want the donkey to be in the right environment and to be able to be safe. Behaviour is about educating people. It's about helping people to understand their donkey, helping them to communicate more effectively, to have better timing, to look for the causes of behaviour. And this is where our opportunities have really come, because if you can't have me come and fix your donkey and do it for you, then we encourage people to do what we've always done, is to look for the causes of behaviour, establish whether it's pain, change the environment, actually try and do the work that might need to be done before we begin training. And we can support people on that journey. We're here to actually help them at a distance. So we had a donkey welfare advisor who was contacted by a home, and the home had two donkeys, a mother and foal. When I say foal, she was 3 years old, but she just had a foal as well. And the mare, the young mare, had rejected the foal pretty much. She wouldn't let it suckle unless she was being held, and when she was held she would let it suckle, but she really didn't want anything to do with it. And it looked like it was going to be rejected and there would be a bottle-reared foal. However, I was able to give advice to the donkey welfare advisor, who was able to relay that back to the home, who made some changes, allowed the young mare and foal a little bit more space and time together, And within 48 hours, we had some pictures coming back, like you can see here, of this lovely foal who was actually suckling his mother, who didn't have to be held, who had bonded to him and was out grazing on their lawn to give her more space away from the other donkey. So there's a donkey's foal life that's going to be improved, because he's going to be brought up with his mum and his grandmother, and he's going to be a much more content foal as a result, and we've been able to help with that. So previously we just had kind of email, telephone. We begin to get these resources like our Page Tiger resource, which has been viewed 12,000 times. This resource is all about environmental enrichment. There's like 70 different ideas in there, so thousands of people across the world have viewed it to enrich their donkeys' lives. But the game changer is video. Once people start getting used to using video, then they can send us video, and that's really powerful. We can use video to see the donkey's behaviour. We had a donkey in a holding base who'd come in, and they were quite nervous, but we needed a donkey to go out to a home with a donkey who was bereaved. They'd lost their partner. The holding base did an assessment and they sent me the video. And because I could see the video, I had to say, I'm really sorry, but this donkey isn't ready to go out to a home. It was nervous, it was difficult, they were difficult to catch, they had some fear and difficulties around leading. It would have been too stressful. And as much as we wanted to get a donkey into the home, we had to do the right thing for a donkey in our care. So the holding base was able then to change the donkey's environment, start doing some work. They sent another video just so we can see the improvement. And then they were able to get to a point where the new owner, potential guardian, could come out, see the donkey, work with it a little bit, and we could see that video to say, yes, it's ready to go. Now, no news is good news. As far as I know, that donkey is now in its home with its new friend, and they are progressing really nicely with one-to-one care. So video has been a game changer. To be able to look at pictures on videos of donkeys from anywhere in our organisation or the world and see that behaviour, give advice on it, massively important. Videos also allowed us to do training online. Previously, as I mentioned, trying to do some online training, people are like, oh, no, can't do that. Now we have to do it. All of a sudden we can do training. So we did training for our Irish DWAs. And the great thing is there was no travel for me, no flying, no damaging the ozone, no having to coordinate accommodation and all the costs that involved. We simply hooked up a Zoom meeting, and they were all in their homes. They didn't have to find childcare, dog care, donkey sitting. They didn't have to drive and find accommodation to be able to go to a venue that might have been, several hundred miles away from where they lived. I was there in their living room with them on Zoom. We did the course, and it's really relaxed. It's really familiar. The dog can jump up. We can stop for a tea break in their own kitchen, and then they go back to work, doing the other things they needed to do. No traveling back. They were ready to carry on with their workload, which is tremendous because we get more done. And we did a training course for our DWAs here in the UK about human behaviour change. Now remember, previously, online course, oh no. Now, yeah, of course we'd do that. And the great thing was, because we already had the video film from our behaviour mentors that we'd used it with, when they said, could you do some work with the DWAs on human behaviour change, which will ultimately help our donkeys in the homes, I went, yeah, I can do it next week. Previously, well, we'd have needed at least 2 or 3 months to prepare. We would have needed to get everybody in the same place at the same time, 20 DWAs, all to travel to a venue, or maybe do 2 separate days in 2 different places. And we just did it over the course of a month, put the online learning up, had some sessions, and a live session so we can answer questions through on that, and the training's done. We're able to impact and work. And the great thing about all of this is that we have got that material to use again and again and again. Let me give you an example. One of the things that we did right at the start of this whole pandemic was to run some webinars. So these are just online sessions where people can join, and I'll do a presentation live, answer their questions, maybe talk them through a particular topic. And we did some on common behavioural problems for donkeys, we did some on feet issues, we've done some on the science of behaviour, donkey senses. And the great thing is we might get anything between 70 and 100 people on our webinar. That is like 6, 7 training courses, but in terms of numbers of people, but we can do it. And we're in people's homes in Australia and New Zealand and Canada and all over Europe and the UK. And many of those people are never going to travel to the donkey sanctuary to attend a course, but I can go to their living room or their office or wherever they are in the world and share that information. But here's the great thing. So I've done that webinar for an hour, I've shared the information, then we have it. Now we put it on our website. And that continues to educate people for months to come. In fact, every month we see a growth of the number of views or people who have viewed videos that we have made for those webinars. And we've gone on to do ones on donkey healthcare with our vet team and with harnessing and with dentistry. And those resources are there. Every month we increase by between 3,000 and 4,000 views on our webinar recordings. We're up to just over 40,000 views across those series of webinars. How much education is that? How many live training courses would that have been to maybe, even if we only said that's 4,000 people all watching the 10 videos, 4,000 people. We couldn't do that on training. Phenomenal opportunity to grow our accessibility and let people view learning. It also means that when people now email me and they say my donkey has a problem picking up his feet, we can send out a behavioural questionnaire, but I can also direct them to a webinar recording. All that information there, there's a whole hour of stuff on picking up donkey's feet. They often come back to me and go, Ben, it's great. I know what I'm doing wrong. I'll get back in touch if it doesn't work. Sometimes they come back and said, I've watched everything and that's great. I need a bit more support, which is fantastic. We can do that too. But creating those resources that allow us to continually reach people is fantastic. It can be very consuming to create courses and time consuming, but that advantage that they are there forever is so powerful. So I have just created a foal training course, and having done that, and it's taken a lot of time to do, it now means that we can train anybody in our organization on that course and people from outside, and it can run for years to come, maybe with some small amendments here and there or some things to add on. But that course will change the lives of donkeys and foals that I may never see or even hear about as we begin to do our Donkey Academy, and I'll share more of that in a moment. So we now have the ability to support people better. We have the opportunity to see donkey behaviour. Our teams at Birmingham DAT were having some issues with the donkey. He was really nervous and didn't like being approached and picking his feet up. They sent me a video. I was able to make an audio recording of that video. So I answered all the questions, told people what I could see in the audio recording and sent it back via email. They could listen to the audio recording. The whole team could share it and hear the same thing. And they started working in the same way. Within a couple of weeks, the donkey's behaviour had changed and they were able to approach him, begin to pick up his feet, and we've got a calmer, more content donkey. And I didn't leave home. So we can see it works. And I've seen, videos on WhatsApp, on email, on Dropbox, on WeTransfer, on, from Australia and Canada and the Americas and all over Europe and the UK. And it really makes a massive difference. People getting more comfortable to send a video, let's have a look, let's talk it through. Maybe it's quicker to make an audio recording than type, especially if you're bad at typing as I am. So, make an audio recording, it's live, we can get a lot of information into it, we send it back. and we can make real-time changes. So the time we're also saving not traveling, as well as benefiting the environment and saving money, means that we can move on to the next case and support somebody else, and we can create resources. Now, I've mentioned the foal course going on to our Donkey Academy. That's one of the amazing things that are going to come up in the future, where we will have huge amounts of online learning and resources. So people from all over the world, maybe if you've got a donkey issue with picking up feet or catching or leading, we just want to know about behaviour, you're going to be able to come on and do a really good, high quality course all about that particular issue or about behaviour in general. So we're going to put the behaviour course that some of you may have done, we're going to put it online so you can do it from anywhere in the world. Does this mean, Ben, that we're going to stop doing live handling of donkeys and behaviour issues and behaviour training? No. It means that we have options to be able to support donkeys and their owners around the world. We have 40 behaviour mentors that are about to undergo training from our organisation, Europe, Spain, Italy, across the UK, Ireland. Now, I couldn't bring all of those to the Donkey Sanctuary for 3 hours training every week, or even for a week's course. It wouldn't be the best way to do it. Now, with the Donkey Academy, we can do online learning, so a few hours a month. We can do live sessions, we can support, we can answer, we can build their confidence that they can then share with their colleagues. And we begin the ripple effect of changing behaviour and helping donkeys. So for me, you know, I used to go to, every year for about 7 years, I've been to the Donkey Welfare Symposium in California. And it takes about 24 hours to get there, leave home, drive, do all the stuff. And I would work really hard with donkeys and vet students and teaching, and then come home. And it's a huge cost environmentally, physically. And this year, when we couldn't go, I just did my presentation virtually. Apart from some time distortion because of it being 8 hours behind and having to do a live session later at night, it's not really very uncomfortable. We can help and support, and that video is created, which then we can use time and time again in our academy and different areas. So technology and embracing it, it doesn't replace everything. Recently, we had a guardian home locally who had some problems with their donkeys. They've been working with it throughout lockdown, but the problem was kind of growing, getting a bit out of control. They'd got to a point where they thought maybe they were going to have to give the donkeys up, but they couldn't solve the problem. The DWA got me involved and was able to give some support online and telephone and send some links to some of the resources that we've discussed. But after another 6-8 weeks, it was pretty clear that we needed to make a visit. So I was able to get support from our teams about staying safe, about doing the right risk assessment, about being able to make a visit safely during this time. I went to the home, and because we'd already done the background work and sent the resources, the home was in the right place. We knew it wasn't a pain issue or an environmental issue. And we were able to work for a couple of hours and work through the issues, show the donkey's potential to the owner and get them to do the work. Now, as a result, that donkey is, I think, highly likely to stay in the home. So sometimes we need that hands-on contact. Sometimes we need that support. But by using the technology that we've discussed, using the internet, using the videos and the resources, it means that we're able to target the things that we need to most effectively. Our Guardian scheme produces lots of donkeys to be put forward. Now, my colleagues, Kana and Corinne in the behaviour team, are using video technology to be able to assess donkeys, whether they're ready to go out on the scheme or whether they need more work. So our farm staff are able to make a video, they send it to Kana, she's able to look at the video, she doesn't have to travel to the farm, she can say, yes, I think that donkey's ready to go on to the next stage, or actually we need to support you more and give you more help. And that means when they go to the home, we've got some video to show the owners how that donkey might have been trained. And the owner can provide video back if they've got any behaviour issues, and we can give more timely support in that whole process. But that doesn't mean to say we might not sometimes need to go out to a home, and certainly our donkey welfare advisors will be still visiting the homes. So this blend is really important, and I think it really is something that I'm keen to see more of. I'd like to get to a point where we can do live behaviour sessions if the Wi-Fi connection's allowed, and could actually see someone working with a donkey and give them real-time feedback on what they might be able to do. That'd be the exciting next stage, that we could reach further into, you know, Australia and Americas, where we wouldn't normally be able to do that sort of thing. We're going to blend it. We're going to be able to do more. Now, Donkey Week, I'm hoping that in 2022 it's going to be a live event, because like I said right at the start, we can't replace the cuddles and the joy of meeting donkeys and seeing people. But there are people who can't make it. Wouldn't it be lovely to have the blend of the live event and the online, so that people around the world can enjoy some of the things that hopefully you will be enjoying in the future with everything we've learned? I hope you can see that we are actually turning the difficulties into a positive. We're reaching more donkeys and mules. We're able to support more, provide more, and hopefully help them to have better, more comfortable lives and improve their well-being. Thank you. I hope to see more donkeys on Zoom in the future. I hope you have enjoyed being able to understand a little bit of what we've been doing to make a difference. I hope you stay safe, and I really hope to see some of you in 2022.